And we're live. Today's Thursday, July 2nd, and you're tuned into NEZ, a place where musicians can come together and inspire each other to play more guitar. Thank you for being here, everybody. We have a very special show for you tonight. My name is Dave, and this is my co-host, Ty. Hey, Ty.
Hello, Dave. I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy Thursday. Always great to be with you on a Thursday night, and I'm very excited for our show tonight because we are so fortunate to be joined by this talented group of people. You know, tribute bands have existed for decades, going all the way back to Elvis impersonators who first became popular in the 50s and 60s. But the tribute acts of today are certainly not a novelty. They are an integral part of the concert industry in every major market of our country. And these bands are made up of highly trained professional musicians that work tirelessly to recreate the music, the sound, and the magic of the bands that they're emulating. So tonight, from Los Angeles, California, we're joined by Caleb Rapoport. He is the guitar wizard in the Van Halen tribute Nerd Halen, a band where hilarious comedic antics collide with great songs and lots of guitar fireworks. And there we are.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
And then from all the way on the other side of the country, from Raleigh, North Carolina, we're by Susan and Wendy, Angus and Malcolm, respectively, from Shoot to Thrill, an all-female powerhouse tribute to AC/DC, and they are one of the East Coast's most popular tribute bands. We are so happy that everyone agreed to be with us tonight, and welcome to the show. Welcome to NEZ. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, I think one thing that's really interesting about both tribute acts, both Nerd Halen and Shoot the Thrill, is that they are different. They're conceptual bands. They're presented in different ways. Tell us about the origination of each band. I mean, it's not your typical tribute in a highly competitive marketplace. You're offering something unique and different. Tell us about how that idea germinated, Caleb.
Me first? Oh,
yeah, you first.
Okay. Well, I grew up on Eddie Van Halen ever since 13 years old. I met the man, and that's a whole different story. But it had such an effect on me that I went home and spent the next 8 years of my life in my room, 8 hours a day, just trying to get his feel, not necessarily the note for note or whatever. I just wanted to sound like him and get that feel that he has that no one else has. And the good thing was I was successful at that, but the bad thing was I was kind of a one-trick pony, and it kind of pigeonholed me as far as getting my own thing together, which never really materialized until a few years ago. I started a cover band, and we played around a little bit, but
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I did.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
No, I wanted to do that.
I did it the cover band just so I could play Van Halen songs, even though we were mixing a bunch of other bands in. But it came time to start my own thing, and I was told by somebody, you either got to do a straight tribute or come up with a gimmick. And I wasn't going to do a straight tribute just because I'm 6'4", and I'm not really going to match what Eddie looks like on stage with a wig and tights and whatnot. And it wasn't my thing, so I had to come up with something different. And I'm an actor, and I have a musical theater background and comedy theater. And one thing led to another, and the gimmick thing was in my head, and I came up with the nerd thing, and then combined it, and then it became something where I wanted people to laugh and have a good time, and be thrown off and lower the expectation. But when it came time for the music, they were listening to as close a a replication of the sound. And that was the basis for the idea for Nerd Halen, was to laugh but rock. So there you go.
No, I hear you. It's a great idea, Caleb. I mean, it's a great concept. Competitive market. You're in one of the largest markets in the country, so you're constantly competing. And so, I mean, thinking through the concept of this from just simply a business standpoint, a brand standpoint, differentiation, and where Nerd Halen is going to fit into the marketplace. I mean, it's a smart move.
Well, it helped. I mean, there's we talked about this before. There's hundreds and hundreds of Van Halen tribute bands around the country and around the world, and they're all really trying to go after the same thing. They want to look like Van Halen from 1984, and but most of the guys are my age. They're pushing 50, and it just it has its place, but there's a lot of overhead. If you want to look like Van Halen from 1984, you got to have amp stacks and all the gear. Your drum kit has to have 4 bass drums with 17 pieces in it, and it's a lot of overhead. So I wanted to get rid of all that right away, and having a celebrity comedic actor as our frontman didn't hurt at all. So I'm glad we have Hal Sparks in the band, and he really takes a lot of the onus off of me creatively during the show. He can respond and react to anything, and he's super funny and super quick, the smartest guy I've ever met, and it's just been a pleasure just to be co-creating this thing with him. So
Caleb, the fact that you created a brand, and I mean brand, before you had a band, and made us all believe in you, and we all believed in you before anything started, is an incredible feat. What made you decide to go that way instead of, getting a band together, starting to rehearse, and then putting it out there? What made you do that first?
Well, it was necessity. I really couldn't find the players to catch up with the idea, so I wanted to get the idea out there before someone took it. So I was able to trademark it, but it took me a while to actually prove the use of the trademark. So, but once I applied for the trademark, I had a certain amount of time to get the band together. But yeah, you're right. If for most of the people watching and know David, he's on another show with Johnny Bean.
The Johnny Bean show. I do it on Friday nights with Johnny Bean and Jay Hannon. Yeah,
and that's just a big collection of all the people I've wished I knew when I was in high school, and all these guys that that I never was able to talk to. Everyone at my high school was into the new wave and different kind of music, and they were they walk by me in the hall and they go like that, every time they saw me, and they, they made fun of it. And now I have, through the Johnny Bean show, all these friends and, all these Ed heads, all these crazy Van Halen fans. And I was able to, get in the chat on that show and then eventually get on the show. And now I'm kind of a regular, especially Saturday nights. You'll find me on Saturday Night Live on the Johnny Bean show. And we talk guitars and Van Halen and other stuff too. But that created, that's where we were talking about it so much that Van Halen was becoming more and more a part of my life again, that I really wanted to express myself and start a band. And it, the idea came, and then I was on the show a lot and I kept talking about it. And the guys would ask me every week, like, how's Nerd Halen coming? And I was basically lying, saying, oh, we just rehearsed, and yeah, the guys are great. And there was no band for months and months. I had maybe a drummer here who left, and then I had a bass player who didn't work out with, and then, but finally, I got it together. It took a long time from the idea to actually our first gig. It was about 10, 11 months from the inception of the idea to an actual show, and that was it's the ultimate fake it till you make it story, basically. So my advice to people out there is that if you have an idea, keep pushing it, and as long as you don't give up on it, and make people believe. That's really what I did with Nerd Halen. Was I just created a bunch of believers, and the audience. I made shirts. There was no band. I had shirts. All kinds of pre marketing. I used a lot of social media without paying a dime, just what I had at my disposal, and just kept hammering and hammering and hammering it. And people actually, caught on, and now we have a pretty good following, and it's exciting, and it's growing, and a lot of people know about it. And as Dave knows, and everybody in the Van Halen circles, it turned into it. And I'm an artist with EVH now, which, if you told me, 20, 30 years ago that I'd be in one of Eddie Van Halen's company's artists, I would have slapped you in the face. But here we are. So,
That's great. It's great. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. No, I still pinch myself. It doesn't make any sense. But
it's amazing.
That's cool.
Susan and Wendy, you guys play huge stages. I mean, from House of Blues to big festivals. There's such a hunger for AC/DC, and talent buyers always seem to go to Shoot the Thrill as their first call, AC/DC tribute. I mean, how did this? You were obviously musicians before this tribute. I know the two of you have played together for a long time. I mean, how did you come to the conclusion that, well, we should start an AC/DC tribute band?
This was Susan's idea.
I'm going to add to that question real quick. What made you decide to do AC/DC and not like Vixen or, something?
Well, we were in original band together for a long time, and then we were in a cover band also, like, over the years, and we were also in like a Southern rock band, and then so we both always loved AC/DC, and we just like the idea of girls playing guy rock, if that makes sense, even though it's everybody's rock. It also was about making it fun, and like Van Halen, and like it's fun. Like AC/DC is fun. It's about drinking. It's about other things. I'm not sure if I can say, but
you can say whatever you want. This is this is not a family show.
I mean, it's just the songs just span across so many generations, and it's so fun for us to see in our audience fathers with their daughters, and all the kids know the songs, and we keep it as family friendly as we can. We try, but it's more about people. Sometimes people think, well, are girls going to come? Do girls like Shoot to Thrill? And I'm like, of course they do. I think the 60% of people that come see us are female, and it's just really fun for everybody. I just love the all-girl concept. People are always asking us, like, are you really playing? Like, yeah, we're really playing. Right, Susan?
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, I have to make mistakes so that they know that I'm actually playing.
Right?
Now, Susan, the big question is, how much gain do you use when you play? Because Angus doesn't use a lot of gain.
I know. Angus is amazing. I just try to imitate as best I can.
That's awesome. I gotta watch you guys. Are you on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I should have done some homework, but I'm gonna watch
That's
you
okay.
right after the show. I'm gonna look you guys up and watch it because
Susan's awesome. She's awesome.
You both got to be awesome because the Malcolm part is AC/DC. I'm sorry, but just got to call it how I see it. That's the bare bones of AC/DC.
I really. Go ahead, Wendy. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I maybe didn't appreciate like the two parts, of course, until you sit down and learn them. And Susan says, I play this, you play this, and we're like looking at the music, and I'm like, I really appreciate Malcolm now. Maybe I didn't so much. I just kind of love the songs, but I really appreciate his writing and his riffs, and they're so catchy, and they're simple, but they're like, don't be fooled. Like, you have to have the right amount of space between each chord. There's a lot of rhythm to get that groove. And if you don't catch that groove and people aren't dancing, you are not doing it right. So we practice like above all things. Like, we are musicians above being women, and we play it as well as we can. And that's our number one thing. We're going to play it well for you. And being female is second to that.
That's awesome.
Well, amen to that. I mean, I've seen the band, and have appreciated the band both up close and from the back of the room, and you guys kill it. I mean, you just aside from playing everything correctly and appropriately, there's an attitude behind the music that's really unique. So when you're, what's that Bon Scott lyric from Long Way to the Top? It's harder than it looks, right? So, how do you begin to prepare for that, knowing that you are going to be compared to not only other tributes, but to AC/DC themselves? I mean, you mentioned that you rehearse a lot. How do you begin preparing for all of that? How do you break it down?
That's really
Susan, do you want to? It's a great question.
It is a great question. It really, I mean, it is so much the show, and like AC/DC is just so. It's everyone's music. It's everyone just embraces it, and so many people, you hear it in movies. If your sports team is winning, you want to hear it. And so it's very welcoming and inclusive with everybody. And I feel like as a band, we really, really try to emulate that. Kind of everybody's welcome, everybody's included. Everybody belongs here. We are all here together. It doesn't matter where you came from or where you're going later. But while you're there at the show, we are going to have a good time together. And it really is. And everybody in the band has that attitude. Whether, it's before we start and we're walking through the crowd saying hello to everybody, or while we're playing and on stage, we're just bringing it and really, trying to just draw the crowd in. And then at the end, we'll come out and we take pictures and we're talking to everybody. And we just really, it's just the whole experience. And that's really what AC/DC is. I mean, they are just there for everybody. And so it's a really great, fun time.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat. Brenda B. Squared is here. Franks and Beans on Long Island. That's my buddy Pete. Mark
Pete.
Dillon. Yeah. Fruitcake Tony. Neanderthal Radio.
Fruitcake Tony's got a Raleigh, actually. So Fruitcake Tony's nearby.
Fruitcake. Yep. And we're gonna plug his show a little later on today. He's got a YouTube show as well. We're gonna plug that.
Sweet.
Joe Harvey 84 7/8, which is one of my partners from the Johnny Bean Show. His name is Jay Hannon. Welcome. Johnny Bean is here from the Johnny Bean Show. Susie Cherry is here.
Hey.
Jay Turner. Thomas Santiago. Ty Price is here. Hey. Ed Dan is here. Ed, do you like your book? Are you enjoying that book? We sent him a book. He won a book on one of our previous shows.
Awesome.
The Stevie Ray Vaughan book from Andy Alador. Ben Coombs is here. Welcome, Ben. Chris Bevan is here. I said Susie Cherry. Hello, welcome. Dennis Brialt is here.
I think that's pronounced bro.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Bro.
Just bro.
Bro? Is it bro?
Yeah.
Dennis Bro. Okay. Hang on one second. Let's get to more of the beginning. We got a lot of... Frank C. is here. Hello, Frank.
Oh, John B.L.
John B.L. is here. I'm going backwards. That's why I haven't mentioned anyone. Jay Turner is here. I said that. I'm losing it. You reach 50 and your mind's the second thing to go. All right. So we'll say hello to more people as we go on. And okay, Ty, up to you.
All right. So, Caleb, Van Halen, huge song list.
Yeah.
Susan Wendy, AC/DC, huge song list. How do you pick the list? I mean, how do you begin organizing the list?
Ladies?
We have a joke that we say there's the big 7, but that's really like 11. There's ones that people are expecting you to play, and then we like to throw in a few that are unexpected, but still, like, if you didn't really know them, if they're more like a deeper cut, that you would like it. We try not to do anything, too obscure, even though it's so fun to do it. But we experiment with stuff too. Sometimes we do like a song into another song, and we just see how it goes. We let the audience tell us. We let them be our barometer as to what they want to hear. And then we try to change it up a little here and there, so we're not doing the same show at the same venues. We're very like ridiculously organized about it. Right, Susan? Like our set list is like, this goes into this, and then Jay goes across the stage, and then Susan spins on the floor. Like it's like a show that is choreographed. Like, I'm not even kidding about that. Not that we're good at it, but we try.
Well,
we bang into each other once in a while.
Interesting parallel with the two bands is two singers. I mean, there's three for Van Halen, but really two.
Right.
And I'm sure there's members of the band that like Bon better. There's been members that like Brian better. So I'm sure that's definitely a problem. Could be a conflict in the band as to how many Brians do we do tonight?
Well, the other parallel between the both bands is there are hits on every record. I mean, what do you choose? It just the same question that Ty just said. It's you have to do at least one from every record because there's a major hit on every record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For both bands.
Yep.
And in most cases, there's more than one hit. So how many records does AC/DC have? What, 18 or something? They have a lot of records.
Like 49.
A lot.
I know.
They have
like
a
so
lot.
Many.
What I'm saying is there's a lot of records, and 2 songs on each record. You're still playing for 2 nights. That's at least a 3-hour show. Van Halen, unfortunately, depending on who's singing, the other version of Van Halen's not going to be heard really. Mm-hmm. But still, there's hits on every. It's a 2.5-hour show, no matter how you look at it.
Right, and we started out. We've mostly done 45-minute shows. That's how bands that start out just do. You don't get more than 45 minutes. If you're starting out, it just doesn't happen. So you're looking at 8 or 9 songs, and plus we have bits, in between. Our singer likes to talk a lot in between songs, so that adds time. But yeah, I mean, we focus mainly on the Dave era, just because, that's my choice. I'm a much more into the Dave era than the Sammy era. I love a lot of the Sammy stuff, but to play actually live. You can't beat playing the Dave era stuff, and we do most of the big ones from that side. So we'll throw a Sammy in here and there, and obviously if we get 90 minutes, then we have time for like 3 or 4. So, but it's mostly Dave stuff, and it's all the hits that I try to throw a deep cut in here and there, especially in a longer set, just because. It's more fun for us, and a lot of people come see us are diehards anyway, so they know all the music. Everyone's looking at me, because they want to see that I pull it off, and there's a lot of very judgmental fans, and that's cool. I would be the same guy if I wasn't in this band. I would be right there looking at the guitar player, seeing if he could pull it off, and that's the nature of it. So.
Caleb, the one thing that I really like about what you guys do, since you're just a really Dave-oriented band, all your guitars kind of match the eras of the Dave stuff. I mean, even your 5150, even though it's not the right colors, it's not relict. It's in brand new condition, the way it would have been in '84.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's all your guitars are in the condition that they would have been in the years that Eddie would have played them. Yeah,
I mean, it's. I'm not into the relic thing, just because it never. It's like I can't imagine dirtying something up on purpose. I definitely would like this to get its bumps and bruises, and I definitely don't protect any part of it. But it is what it is. I wanted a different color just because everyone had a red one, and I wanted I always liked the black and white photos of this guitar, and I thought that putting the red on the stickers would make it pop, and it just came out really well. And I get a lot of compliments on this guitar actually, and it sounds amazing. And it's the first guitar I made for the project, so yeah. There you go.
That's cool. Well, actually, the first guitar wasn't it the Hot for Teacher in gray and white as well? Wasn't that the actual first one before you changed that?
Yeah, that was the first one I painted stripes, and that was a gray Hot for Teacher, but it wasn't, for the nerds out there, it wasn't a Pacer body or a Beretta body. It was on this old Tom Anderson that I have from 1987, and pardon the green screen, but this is called the Chemstrad now. I made it so it has little planes on it flying on, making stripes in the sky. So
that's very cool.
But I've had this guitar since I was 16 years old, and it sounds amazing. And I don't really use it live, but that was, I repainted it. I've painted a few guitars here, and here's another one. My favorite all-time guitar from the Van Halen years is the Bumblebee. So I did this one too, and it's fun to build guitars. And Dave knows. Dave's built so many of these, and it's just cool, and especially when they come out really well and they play great.
Yeah, we should give Adam at FU-Tone a little plug on all the stuff that's on that guitar for you. Yeah,
Adam Reaver, who everybody in the whole Van Halen circle knows. He created the D-Tuna, which drops this bridge, the E string to D, and he made that and actually brought it to Eddie, and they're partners on the D-Tuna. But he also has his own company that makes bridges, Floyd type bridges, and then he also makes upgrades for bridges, like the big block. This is a big brass block. It's much bigger, and it holds a lot of the sustain and tone in the guitar. And he makes little things like the saddle blocks in there are made out of titanium. And there's all kinds of upgrades you can get through FU-Tone that are really great. And I'm actually an endorser of their products. And Adam's really cool. And Adam's been a real good help to me in this project and all that. So and with the EVH endorsement too. So thank you, Adam.
So Caleb, you mentioned the guys that go up to the shows and they may have their arms crossed. And Susan, Wendy, I've seen the guys show up at your shows with their arms crossed. Just daring you to impress them. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Talk about the evolution of that. When you first saw that, when you walked out on stage and you first saw the guys like this, and was that off-putting? Have you evolved past that? Is that still something in your consciousness when you approach the stage? What type of effect does that have on the overall performance?
Ladies?
That's a good question. I know there's always a lot of crossed arms, just waiting. Usually they're pretty happy by the end of the night, so it's usually okay. I have had comments, about, oh, that's an awful lot of the box position. Well, okay, sorry about that. And there are people who are like, I wasn't sure if you all were playing, but then I heard you make a bunch of mistakes, and I knew you were playing. So
wow.
I got to make sure I make enough mistakes during the night so they don't think we're just air guitaring. But yeah, it can be intimidating. But I think I don't know, I would probably be that person with my arms crossed too, just show me. So that's okay. It's cool. By the end of the night, we're all good.
Yeah. For me personally, the more successful the project gets, the more people are actually coming out of the woodwork, talking shit, and that's just the way it is. And at first you're like, oh man, you get real sensitive, but then you realize the project's resonating, and people are it's getting into a wider audience. There's going to be people that always tear down anything. It's just like sports, that you're just angry at your team. You're angry at players on your team because they're not performing, or you're very picky, and that just, you know, you're just successful. If there are haters, that means you're successful, and you got to turn it around that way. But the best arms crossed guy in my audience so far, that was a crazy experience. We played at a little club here in LA called the Viper Room. It's kind of world famous, but it's not a big club at all. We played on a Wednesday night at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and this is last December. And I'm halfway through the second song, and I look out in the audience, and there's the guy standing there. He's got glasses, and he's got a T-shirt with the, you know, little warm-up jacket, and he's standing there, arms crossed, looking straight at me. And I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And it was Rivers from Weezer. And
nice.
He just came out of the night in Hollywood to check us out, but he was, you know, fixed on me the whole set. And then he was gone. You know, we finished and he was gone, and he didn't even stick around. So he was obviously stalking our act. They had a record coming out called Van Weezer.
Yeah.
And you know, I think he wanted to just see what we were all about and what kind of thing we were doing, because it's obviously, and you know, they're a nerdy band, and they play.
He loved your glasses, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's great. It was crazy because a couple months earlier I went to the Whiskey and saw Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy play at the Whiskey, and that's a very small room, and that was the craziest concert I've ever been to, because it was a bunch of real fans. I even waited in line myself just to get in, because I'd gotten advance notice about it, so I showed up and got into that, and just I had to go. I had to see. I'd never seen Green Day before, but I'm a huge fan of them. And to actually be there at the Whiskey watching, you know, Rivers and Weezer, and then a couple months later he's at my show watching me, was the trippiest thing I've experienced so far with the band. So, you know, it's exciting. I mean, I love that people are passionate about Van Halen and AC/DC. People love these bands and they love the music. And if you have the balls, or you know, the ovaries to get up there and you know, and try and pull this shit off, you know, you're going to take a lot of flack, and you're going to, you know, but also I get some of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten. I get humbled every day by people who message me through social media and tell me, you know, how much they love the playing, and they love, you know, my version of it, and whatnot. So there's things that have come out of it that I never thought about when I created the project, or you know, the product. You know, I never thought I'd be in this conversation with, you know, all these guys, you know, these few guys who can play like Eddie, that are, you know, have a niche cut out. I never thought that I'd be part of that, and now it's kind of like I'm in this conversation with guys who I think are monsters, but I'm also in that conversation. It just blows my mind. So. You know.
Well, not to toot your horn, Caleb, but you're one of the 2 or 3 Eddie guys that actually are the closest to having Eddie's swing. Because I mean, most people that play Eddie, you know, they're great players. Every one of them are great players, but Eddie has a swing that nobody has, and you and maybe 1 or 2 other guys come super close.
I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, it's all, you know, it's 50,000 hours, you know, that it doesn't come naturally. It's work, and I missed my entire teens, you know, because of it. I had no life, and you know, I'm glad it's paying off now, but it took a long time. So
it really is inspiring, because the EVH, I mean, all of us will agree as guitar players, the EVH thing is difficult. I mean, it's where it may not be difficult to replicate the notes or the note choice. It's the feel of it, the way in which it's projected, the way in which it's presented. That's where all the magic of it is, and really the same with Angus and Malcolm.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know a single player that doesn't wish they could play rhythm guitar as well as Malcolm Young and Eddie Van Halen, because guitar players know that the magic is in Eddie's rhythm playing.
Absolutely.
And then Susan, what you're able to do with the Angus, anybody that thinks that the Angus solos are tasteful but simplistic have never learned Girls Got Rhythm. They've never learned all those double stops. They've never learned where all those bends are, and how magical that content is. And I think that the thing that both of you do so well is presenting an audience with something that is so real that it really, I mean, for musicians and guitar players, we have to take a step back and give you a lot of kudos.
Right.
That you've invested all those hours that Caleb was referencing, all those hours in developing all of that. So at what point do you say, okay, I can play it, but now I've really got to play it? And at what point do you turn the corner? I mean, so we've got a lot of guys in the chat that can play and play really well. So if they were going to enter a tribute band, what advice would you give them to turn the corner from saying, all right, I can play it, now I can play it really well?
Right. And as a side note, Wendy and Sue, you guys need to open up with Girls Got Rhythm every show. Because that tells it. That just tells it right there.
We love that song. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think that once you know it, that's fine, but it really is a band. So like, so you really, if I have to give anybody, any guitar player the best advice, get the best freaking drummer you can find.
Yeah.
And your drummer Kate, is like, she's lights out. She's fantastic.
I know. And joy. Like if we, like even when we were looking for people to play with, like, can they emit joy? Are they having fun? Is it contagious? It is about playing it right and the notes. But if you're going to have a show, like people can stay home and listen to AC/DC. Why do they want to come? They want to see. They want to feel. They want to feel the bass in their chest. Like, why do you go to a live show? It's not really, I mean, we do play things note for note, don't get me wrong, but we also try to make it a visual show as well and a feeling show. Like we want you to feel really a part of it. You know, we break up the audience and be like, this side, you know, say oi, and this side say TNT or whatever. And really try to get people to participate. And that's the fun part. To me, that's the really exciting part is once you have the music down where you're like, okay, this feels really good. Like we were talking about feeling. The next step is, to me, and Susan may or may not agree, is the really fun part is the other things that go along with that.
Yeah.
So forgive me for sounding chauvinistic because this is not that at all. But because you ladies play the music so well and try to emulate the records, and it's AC/DC, you're going to get a lot of people to your shows, a lot of men especially, because I don't know anyone that doesn't like AC/DC or love AC/DC. I think that's probably the epitome of rock music right there. You have attractive women playing it, and forgive me for saying this, but eye candy. It's just a whole show. It's a whole thing that you ladies have that are going to attract men and women. Women because they want to see ladies doing that. Men, of course, because they want to see ladies doing that. And it's just an amazing thing to see. So if that was chauvinistic, I apologize, but it's just the truth. Let's call a spade. But the fact is that you were playing your instruments incredibly well. And you're giving the music the justice. It's just it's a brainstorm. It's just a perfect storm is what it is.
Thanks. I mean, we get a lot of respect. I mean, like we might have people be like yelling like, "Woo, I love you," and whatever. But like when the show is over and we come down and talk to people, my experience, Susan, is yours the same? Like it's a lot of respect. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about ooh la la type of looking at you. I'm talking about the respect because you don't generally see. First of all, you don't generally see a lot of women playing rock music. You just don't. There were a few bands in the 80s. I'm sure there are a lot of women that play instruments, but you don't see them in working bands, rock bands. And to see that, it's just it's amazing. It's just kudos. It's amazing.
What's really cool about what's similar about our two acts is that we both lower the expectation. And then,
so pleasantly surprised is always good for me.
A bunch of nerds, we're dressed up like nerds.
I love that.
People are like, what's this? And then we start. Just like you. Oh, what are these girls going to do?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So and that was part of, the mission statement for my act was I wanted people to doubt us off the bat. I wanted them to laugh at us when we walked on stage, because then the music starts and then the draws drop. And then, and so I'm sure that's very similar to you. And you also mentioned the most important thing. There's an old saying, great band, good drummer is a good band. A good band with a great drummer is a great band. It's just the truth. You have to have the drummer. It's the first thing a non-musician person keys in on is the drums. It's the first thing they feel, and the first thing they can tell is authentic to the sound of what you're replicating or attempting to. So, with my band, we got a great drummer, and that was key. And plus, I didn't want to have to worry about telling that guy what to do. He's a Van Halen specialist before I even got him in the band. So it's so important, Thanks, Jeff Page, by the way, our drummer.
So my friend Pete from Franks and Beans, that's a Long Island band, a 90s Long Island band. He says, man, I'd love to see an AC/DC tribute have the balls to play Inject the Venom into Snowball, side one of For Those About to Rock. Is that the sickest album side ever played?
That's
Tunes
really cool.
and tone have yet to hear it since.
Yeah, it's really hard. We have a lot of requests for things that, like songs that are awesome. And we're like, oh, I love Sink the Pink, or I love, I love Put the Finger on You. Like, I love that song. And I'm like, but we have to try to please the masses. So we do pick. So I will tell your friend and ours, like, we do change those like obscure ones up very often. So you just never know. Awesome. Like we just put Squealer in. I don't know if anybody knows the song. Squealer, but it's
Chris Jericho made you put Squealer in, right?
That's right. And and it's nice because it gives our bass player like a chance to have some moments too, which is really cool because like when we first kind of designed the show, it was our singer Cara and Susan, like of course in the front, they're having most, but people do like to see the other girls having their moments and stuff. So we do that too. And we have had people say, "Oh, you know, like we were talking about haters. Oh, the only reason why you guys got that gig is because you're girls." And I'm like, "But we are girls. Like we're not trying to not be girls or pretend like we're not girls. Like we are girls. So it's okay. Like Susan said, we get turned down more than we get gigs because we're girls. I can assure you that we are normally underestimated, kind of like Caleb said about with the nerd vibe. Same thing. People are like, what is this going to be? Oh my gosh. So it's so fun to prove them. Yeah.
And you plug in and it's over. Like Caleb, and then they plug in, it's over. Yeah. You plug in, it's over.
It's over quick. It's over quick.
Yeah, that's the moment. That's the moment.
Yeah.
And but when you think about it from a market standpoint, you're both presenting a product to the market that doesn't exist or didn't exist before you brought your product. How much of that came into your consideration before you launched? Or did you just not worry about that and you just launched and said, here I am? I guess the root of my question is, how much did you try to differentiate right out of the gate? Or did you just do what you do?
Suze, what do you think?
That's a great question. I don't know how much, like Wendy said, we are girls, and so I don't know how much the marketing went in. I mean, it is sometimes hard to convince club owners that people will come to their club. So sometimes it really works against us. I think for before we even like launched with the marketing, we just wanted to all do something that was fun and that we could all hang out and play the songs and drink beer. And it really started there even before the shows and the marketing and all that. It wasn't necessarily a product from the beginning. It was more of like, let's have fun and let's be ourselves and let's kind of see where it goes. More than a polished idea for a product. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and with us, it was I had to do something, you know, and there are other bands that dress up like nerds. I mean, I have to give it up to the Spasmatics out here in Los Angeles. They're basically the band based on the band from Revenge of the Nerds, and they play you know, 80s music, and they're very tight, very good band. So and that of course their motif is lowering the expectation and delivering, and so I'm not the first one to do it, but you know, obviously I wanted to do something I was specialized in. So you know, and I had to come up with something different. Like I said, it was imperative to me to not just try and compete with guys that have been doing it. There's you know, the Atomic Punks have been doing this forever, and they're the premier Van Halen tribute, you know, in the world. And I never thought for a second to try and, you know, step on their toes or get, you know, try and steal their fans. I mean, it would be impossible. So I just want to do something different, make people laugh, and not take ourselves seriously. And which is, by the way, what made Van Halen so good, other than the music, was that they're the original band where people were laughing at the show because their singer was telling jokes. Not a lot of bands, especially in hard rock, were doing that. They were very, very serious. This is, you know, serious business, you know, no laughing. But you know, it's worked out really well, and I'm excited for the future. I hope, you know, we can all get back to playing and doing you know, regular shows again soon, because we were on a nice little trajectory there, and it was very exciting. And everything's on hold, but it's on hold for everybody. So I don't feel like it's just for us that are suffering. It's kind of, we're all in it together. But
yeah, I hope everybody returns soon. And the virus has got everybody down and waiting. We talked a lot about the time it took to prepare what it is that you do and what it is that you sell, because the tribute band market is a huge market for clubs and venues, a lot of which are actually shuttered right now. But how much time did you spend? Very definable tones, AC/DC, very definable guitar tones, signature tones. Van Halen, no question. Millions of guitar players seeking VH tones. How much time did you spend really getting the tone together? Was it something that happened quickly for you, or has it been a multi-year journey?
I think it happened pretty quickly for Susan and I. I mean, I basically just try to stay. I just cut out my mids and cut down my highs of hair. I try to stay out of the way. You know, our female vocalist, it is a little different. You have completely different frequencies and tones. So I just try to really be on that bottom end and leave Susan that nice frequency window to get the solos and the singing in. Because we're not dealing with a male voice, which might be down where I am. So Cara is kind of right in that frequency. So I really try to. We've tweaked our tones not that much. I mean, when it worked, and then as long as everybody can hear both things, then we knew we were good. And it wasn't about volume; it was more about like frequency space, and just making room for the solos and the female singing, which is different.
as far as my stuff, I mean, obviously, I've been trying to, you know, I've been buying EVH style gear for decades, you know, trying to get close to the sound. And only in the last couple of years have I really focused, funds on getting it all perfect to what I wanted. Not only because of the band, just because I wanted to just get there and have it all ready for whatever was coming, and I believe I have. I mean, I use an EVH 50 watt EL34 212 combo, or 50 watt head with a 212 right now, and I'll definitely upgrade in the future when we upgrade for stuff. But I'm using a drop box. I dropped the voltage on it. It's called a Honey-Ack. You guys can look it up. It's Burke Hun. He's a amp builder out of Virginia. Mike Himmel, who Dave's had on the show, he turned me on to the Honey-Ack and the drop box, and that helps a lot. I mean, we all know Eddie uses a Variac for years, especially in the early days, and that was a big part of his sound. And I had to experiment with that, and I just love my rig right now. I'm so devastated that with casinos and a lot of these clubs or a lot of these gigs, they won't allow you to bring your amps on stage, and you have to bring a Kemper or these these modules, and it's very it's very disheartening, because I mean, not only have I invested in my sound, I like to feel my amp. I like to feel it, and you don't feel with those kinds of pieces of equipment. But it is what it is. We talked about it, Ty, last week.
Yeah. And you just brought up something so great. So when you move to a bigger space, and you move to a silent stage, and you're dealt that hand where you're gonna have to use a different solution than everything you've invested in. How are you gonna deal with that, Caleb? Have you thought through that yet, or are you still facing that challenge?
I really don't know. I mean, I know what product I'll probably end up getting when that time comes, but
well, let me interject a little bit. In Caleb's situation, silent stages are easy to get with the 5150 head, because as long as you have a delay unit or something in the effects loop, you can get down to bedroom volume and really it's very easy to play on a silent stage with a 5150 head and still retain all that tone. It's very easy.
Well, good. That'll save me a couple $1,000. That's good.
Yeah.
But
both Susan and Wendy, first of all, what gear are you using? And if you're using plexis, that's going to be hard for you guys, because you can't do that. You can't get bedroom volume with a plexi and have any type of tone at all. You just can't. Even with pedals.
I have a plexi that is sitting on a shelf gathering dust, because it needs just too much push and too much volume to sound good, I think. And even in clubs that we play, like a House of Blues type venues, it's just too loud. I actually am playing a JCM 900 with a 4x12 Marshall, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And it sounds so good. It's meaty, and I don't even use my clean channel. I just use my dirty channel, but just not a lot of gain, like we talked about before, and just using my volume. Susan and I don't have any pedals. We are strictly like AC/DC. We are using our volume knobs, and that's it. And so, I mean, if I got to a club and they told me I couldn't play my amp, I'd probably just cry and hope that worked. Or just cry. Big funny. Fat tears.
Excuse me. It's funny that you say you use a distortion channel. Do you keep the gain very low for that?
I do. Yeah, maybe 2.5, 3.
Yeah, because that's absolutely Malcolm's sound. Or I was going to say turn the gain up on your clean channel all the way.
Right.
Keep the master down. That's another way to do it. But as long as that distortion is like, Malcolm is. I'm preaching to the choir. Most people think of, oh my God, AC/DC, turn up the distortion, turn up the gain. No way. It is so little gain. In fact, Live, maybe they have a little bit more gain than on the records, maybe just a little bit, but it's still like you got to be an amazing player to play like them because you can't get a lot of sustain out of low gain out of those Marshall amps. You just can't. You got to have great contact between your fingers and the strings to do that, and I applaud both of you for that.
Susan, what gear are you using?
I'm using a JCM 900 as well, and then straight into the from the Gibson SG into the Marshall amp.
Are you using anything for solos? Any compression or anything?
I am. I do have a compressor. I'm not really digging it right now, though. It's not really. I don't know. I'm not really happy with it, the one I have. So I do need to get a new one. If anybody wants to make recommendations, please let me know what you think.
What are you using now? What compressor are you using now?
The MXR.
Like a Dynacomp? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's okay, but
they're not bad.
Little sustain, just a tiny little bit for the solos. That's it.
Susan and Wendy, do you run into the issues that Caleb brought up? Have you run into, because you're playing all types of places, are you running into this whole silent stage movement where people want to lower the volume and they see you roll in? Wendy, when they see you roll in a 412 cabinet, do they immediately say you're too loud and you haven't finished getting it off the ramp of the van yet? I mean...
yeah, sometimes, but yeah, but not silent, not yet. We haven't really run into where they've said, please don't take those out of there. But, you know, we try to be tasteful. We're getting a nice push at not too heavy of a level. So normally we're okay. I like having stage volume because when I go see a concert, I like to walk over. Like if I'm at like a show that's a general admission, I like to walk over to hear the bass, I like to walk over to hear the guitar. Like I love having those amps on stage and people come, they're like, oh, I love Malcolm, I'm going to stand over here. Or, oh, I want to go hear the bass or whatever. I love Cliff. So I can't imagine not having them on the stage. Because I feel like that's part of why you would want to be in the front row. And I've seen bands that are just going direct in, or like we said, Kempers and stuff. And I have to stand back further just to hear everything well. And I hate that because I like to get up there. So I know what that's like for some people to want to get close to the stage, and so I don't want to kill them with it. Like I'm not 18 anymore. I don't have to turn it up really, really loud, but just some, because that warmth, that tubes is just so important.
Yeah.
I need my tubes.
And God forbid if you have to use a Kemper, you still have to bring your backline in because it needs to look like a rock show. It needs to look like a rock show, so you got to have marshals behind you. So
I've had people ask me, amp on stage, I'm like, look, I got 5 girls carrying in, sometimes full stack. So get it together, guys. Get your amps down there.
Yeah.
You can do it. We can do it. You can do it.
Just say no.
Right, you guys
the slogan, just say no.
You guys
it's like, I get it if you're like a Depeche Mode tribute or something, but like when you're an AC/DC tribute, it's nice to have gear that's also vintage. And your guitars are vintage and your amps are vintage. It's nice. I mean, if for the real diehards, like Caleb said, like they eat that shit up. They love it, and I love that they love it because we are trying to take care of those details for them.
Tell me your road crew are girls too. That would be awesome.
A lot of times they are. Like we have a lot of really generous, awesome friends that come and like run our merch booths and help us with bring in our stuff. But you know what? To me, it's really not a big deal. Like just. Right. It's easier for me to just roll in my cab, plug in my head. I am ready to go. And then if someone's like, oh, you can use my amp. I'm like, no. It'll take me 1 second to use my head.
Yeah.
So a couple of suggestions in the chat about using real amps in silent stages. Jay Hannon says reactive load box from Sir. Jay, I'm very interested in that. I'm really interested in the new Sir reactive load with the IR. I think there's 16 IRs that come with that. Super interested. So if you have information about that, I'd love to learn more. And then Pete from Long Island says he talks about the Synergy Friedman BE will kill. And Pete, I don't know if you have one of those Synergy units as well, but all
He
the
does.
clips I hear of that, they sound just like my real thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm very interested in learning more about that solution as well.
It's really an amazing thing. You know, I've been in that room. I've been in his basement where basically it's 5150 East. He's got a wet dry wet rig that I can't even fit in my house, and he's got a whole PA, and then he's got that Synergy. I think he's got a Saldano. He may have a PE right now, but
Nice.
he's A-B'd through. He's got, I believe, 2 or 3 5150 heads. And he's A-B'd them, and I couldn't tell the difference. I could not tell the difference with the head with the tubes. Although the Synergy stuff has 12AX7s in it, so it is a tube-based module. But I couldn't tell which one was which. They were both amazing. Both sounded incredible.
Yeah.
So my friend Jay and I are scheduled to go out and do a run in the fall, and we were both talking about the Sir IR as the solution. But I want to check out the Synergy gear as well.
Yeah.
Because we're going, just Caleb, like you and I were talking about last week. We're going places where we can't take these really nice heads. So.
Yeah, and you know, it's as far as traveling with these little units on a backpack, it's a great idea. And but you know, I don't get to play my rig at all, basically, and so I like the opportunity to actually play my stuff. And so, you know, if I get a chance to play a show, I want to bring my whole setup and get to play it, because I can't play it at home, and my band never rehearses, so it's you know, I've been to Pete's basement too, by the way, in Long Island, and it's a ridiculous setup. He has all this stuff going, and then he has a PA, so it's all mic'd, and so there's sound coming from every direction. So it's a remarkable setup, and Pete's a great guy. So
That sounds amazing.
yeah,
he's
sounds
super
amazing.
funny too. Pete's just a funny dude
yeah.
and a great player. How about him as a player too?
Yes. No, he's got his own 90s band called Franks and Beans, and they do a lot of Stone Temple Pilots and Green Day and
So cool.
and Alice in Chains, and it's spot on. You know, they're fantastic. So look them up, Franks and Beans.
Yeah, and while we're giving some shout outs, I want to give a shout out to Fruitcake Tony and Steve Rosen, who Steve Rosen was an amazing interviewer. He's interviewed Van Halen. He's interviewed for guitar guitar magazines. I think it was Guitar Player or maybe
Guitar World.
Guitar World. He was just an amazing interviewer. All of the interviews were amazing. Mm-hmm. So they have a show on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called Show Me Your Pick. And it's about guitar picks, you know, all celebrity guitar picks. So check them out, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. Show me your pick.
So Caleb is building guitars for his Van Halen tribute, and he has shown a couple of those off. Wendy, Susan, tell us about the guitars that you're choosing to use in your band.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to start, Suze?
Yeah, I think I have sirens now.
Oh, okay.
It got
see if I
dark
can-
quick, by
Okay.
the way, by Susie.
I know.
There you
Here's
go.
Here's my Gretsch. So
Very nice.
yeah, so you know Malcolm plays a LS6 73. This is a 79. Can you see it? So
Yes.
actually
Beautiful.
these are my own sweat wearaways right here. Or my own hand sweat.
Even better. Yeah, even better.
But so I actually got this guitar on eBay, and I was looking for like a Malcolm, you know, remake sort of, and this was someone's who lived in, I think it was Connecticut, and he was in an AC/DC tribute band in the 80s, and he modified this himself, like took the pickups out, and he said he didn't know if it was really even going to work anymore, but it did, and it just really needed the pickup even still works, and it really just got some new tuners and some rust off, and it's really meaty, has really low action, And a lot of people tell me that they think my guitar is broken, but if they get it, then they really get it. You know,
Right.
they're really a fan.
Right.
Either they think something's missing or that it's spot on. So I have one other guitar right here. So let me lay this here. Sorry. Malcolm fans know that he played a White Falcon, and this is a White Panther. They're very similar. Got a new Bigsby.
It's very
So,
cool.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
people that really love Malcolm really appreciate both guitars. So yay!
Very nice.
Beauty.
Exciting.
Sweet.
Okay, that's it.
So I don't have my guitars with me because I'm at the beach and I didn't.
right.
I brought a couple of Jacksons and an acoustic, so I don't have them with me. But I have the main SG I use is 1990. It's a standard, and I also have one that is it's like a 1972.
Oh, your sound went out, Susie.
Lost your sound.
All right.
There we go.
So I have a 1972 that has a P90 in it, and so I've thought about replacing it because it doesn't sound quite AC/DC-ish enough, but I kind of like having the P90, so I haven't quite made up my mind what I'm going to do with that yet. But so I basically have those two SGs.
You know, the cool thing about that P90 guitar is that a lot of the stuff that Angus records on the records is an old, like, 1962 SG Junior with one P90.
Nice.
A lot of it is that. So
I
that's
have
a
a
great guitar to
Junior. I
keep
love that.
as that way. Yeah, that's how he gets a lot of his cleaner tones on the records.
Nice. It does sound really good. It's
Yeah.
noisy, but it sounds good.
Yeah, but those P90s, I'm in love with P90s. I have several guitars here with P90s that are just ridiculous. They're all great.
Caleb, I gotta ask Rabbit Hole, and I mean pickups for you. I mean, what bridge pickups are you using for that EVH10?
Well, I have several different ones. Because I wanted to try them all. There's several pickups that are in the vein of Van Halen, and I actually don't even have like the one that he used in the 5150, which I believe is just a 59, right, Dave?
Well, it's either it depends on the interview. It's either a 59 or a JB.
Mm-hmm.
That's been rewound.
Right.
So.
Well, I for the Chem Strat, I have a Seymour Duncan 78, which is based on a pickup that Seymour made and then sold as an EVH pickup, and then he had to change it the name to 78 for obvious reasons. And then for the 5150 guitar, I wanted that mid to late 80s tone, starting in 1984 and 5150. There's a company called Pariah, and they make pickups called the Pasadena. Obviously, Van Halen from Pasadena. This is the Pasadena Black for the later Dave era tone, and then they make a Pasadena White, which is a lower output, more like the 78 that I used in the Bumblebee. So that's the Pasadena White. So I kind of spread it out with the pickups. I've tried the Frankenstein pickup, which is probably the hottest EVH pickup out there, and I wasn't a huge fan. It was just too much. Yeah, I like the earlier tone without a lot of gain. I'm not a big fan of his modern tone, but obviously in this Wolfgang that I have, it's a stock USA that I have. This one, these are stock pickups, the Wolfgang pickups. Sorry about the background, guys, but this guitar is just perfect. This is a USA from 2009. What's cool about it is the serial number is 00922, which is my birthday. So when I found it on Reverb, I had to get it just because of the serial number. And then in the what we call the Space Wolf, which might be the most famous internet guitar I own, which is this amazing paint job that Craig at CHS Custom Guitars did for me. So sparkle finish, I call it the Space Wolf. And we actually put something called a bare knuckle aftermath in it. He recommended it. It's a different sounding pickup, but it sounds great. And I haven't pulled it out of there yet because I like it. I like how different it is. And those are my guitars right now. I also have one other Super Strat that I built before I got into the Stripe stuff about 5 years ago. And that has a Seymour Duncan Custom Shop IM1. It's the name of that pickup. And that's the pickup that's based on when Eddie was building the Art Series guitars for Charvel. He designed a pickup with Seymour, and then they couldn't use the Seymour Duncan name for that pickup. So Seymour took that pickup and made it, he calls it the IM1, which is I'm the one for super fans. But that's a great pickup too. So there's several, the IM1, the Duncan 78, the Pariahs, obviously the Wolfgangs from EVH are great. There's a bunch of different pickups that are available, and they all get in the neighborhood of his tone. But, you know, a lot of it is right here. So
right on.
You know,
well, which is your favorite pickup?
It changes. It really changes. I mean, my stock EVH Wolfgang is, you know, as good a guitar as I've ever owned or played. So that has Wolfgang EVH pickups in it. But then I'll pick up the 5150 with the Pariah Black in it, or the Pasadena Black, and I think that's an amazing sound too. So it keeps changing. You know, like, I mean, we're guitar players. Everyone knows that one day a guitar sounds amazing, and then the next day it doesn't, and this one sounds amazing, and it's all just our ears are so messed up. But I can't explain it, but that's what it is for me.
So you got a lot of custom builds there, and
yes.
then you've got some EVA. What's the number one?
Well, the number one live, just because of the way it looks, is this one for all the E flat songs, and then there's a few. You know, we obviously play Jump and I'll Wait. Those are in standard because of the keyboards, and then I'll use the Space Wolf for that. So those are my two guitars that I use in a short set. If the set is an hour or 90 minutes, then I'll bring 3 or 4 guitars. So, but it's usually those two guitars, and I still use the 5150 also. But lately it's been that, and I'm waiting on the new the Frankie Relic that's coming. That's with the deal I have with EVH. They're sending me one of those, but it's back ordered, and I won't probably see it till October. But that's going to probably be the new number one when that gets here, just because that's the most famous electric guitar in the history of the world, and obviously have to use that for this project. So
I have a question for everyone here. What's the most inspiring piece of gear that you own?
Gosh.
Wow.
Take a minute to think about that. Caleb, also, are you going to put the reflectors and everything on the back of that Frankenstein to make it look more authentic?
I'm going to put the quarter on. I have a 1971 quarter set aside that I'm going to drill into the body, but I haven't thought about the reflectors. I don't think the back of the guitar is going to be seen too much, so it's not really in my plans for that guitar. But I'm definitely putting the quarter on. So. But as far as my piece of gear that inspires me the most, you know, it's hard not to look at this guitar and think like, wow, that's insane. I honestly think it's the best looking Wolfgang I've ever seen, and it doesn't do it justice right here when it's on stage with the lights. It just looks fantastic. So, and by the way, all my gear is on a little rig rundown thing that I did on my Nerd Halen page on YouTube. If you guys want to like and subscribe.
That's cool.
I talk about all my gear on that. So if you guys want to check that out,
That's really cool.
go for it.
Well, I
Wendy?
have to say my Gretsch, my 79. Just because it really is so Malcolm-esque, and it just really honors him, and he was amazing, and I just want to do his music justice. So I feel like that guitar is the epitome of, if you know AC/DC enough, then you really appreciate that guitar. That's inspiring.
If you didn't have that guitar, that's all people would be saying is,
It wouldn't work.
Why
It wouldn't
why
work if
don't
didn't
you
have
have that guitar?
Right.
It would be the question. So
And I think Gretsch actually now has come out with a replica of that guitar that you can get.
yeah.
They
But
have.
it's but it's cooler that you have an original 70s one that was made into that. It just makes it that much cooler.
I agree.
I love it. It
Wendy-
sounds amazing too. Yeah.
What's your favorite song to play live, Wendy?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. You know what? I'm gonna go with For Those About to Rock.
Yes.
It's so slow. The tempo is so slow, and there's just so much room
that
for
build.
like the upbeats,
The build,
and then
yeah.
like the downbeats, and there's like a rocking groove. And our singer Cara is amazing. She's really like, her background is in blues singing. So like a lot of her storytelling Bon Scott songs are wonderful, but she can really nail those high Brian notes, and I get the chills in it. Just thinking about it, I have the chills. And it's like 90 degrees here. So so I'm gonna go with For Those About to Rock. Mostly because of her too, because she's great.
So Susan, what piece of gear
She's a
do you
great
own?
singer. Great singer. Fantastic.
Yeah. Susan, what piece of gear do you own that inspires you the most?
Oh, that is so hard. I think it depends on what day it is. Like
True.
every piece of gear, it just has its moment. Like there's inspiration everywhere. So
Right. Ty, how about you?
All right, I'm going to tell you the most inspirational thing I have seen over the last 2 weeks. He's in our chat. I'm going to call him out, and Dwight, I apologize in advance if I say something that embarrasses you. Dwight Bailey posts these videos to his Facebook page that I find so inspirational. I can't stop watching them.
Awesome.
He is an amazing, just player, individual. He produces these videos that have so much attitude. If he were on stage at CBGB's in 1982, we would be talking about him in legendary status.
That's right. He'd be breaking this.
Dave, I know you've seen him too.
Yep.
I can't get enough of watching your videos, Dwight, and I just thank you so much. I thank you so much for posting those. They inspire me to put more of myself into my playing, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for doing that.
Dwight, Ty, and I have been discussing the videos you've been putting out a couple times this week, and I agree with Ty. It's you're very inspirational. Your videos are excellent. It's good stuff. For me personally, the most inspirational piece of gear that I have is my 63 ES335, which I'm in love with.
That's a cool guitar.
Yeah, big red.
It's awesome.
Which maybe it'll come. Maybe you'll be seeing it in the next time I solo one of you guys. Who knows?
Sweet.
But anyway, so let's see. Anyone in the chat that has any questions? Because we've been hogging up all the questions.
Yeah, what we have been. All right, so we're in this really unusual stage, and so what do you believe is next for both of you? I think there's a lot of uncertainty moving forward for the fall and the winter. I think we were talking before we went on air that Shoot the Thrill is actually going to start playing again very soon, and you're still monitoring your calendar very carefully. Caleb, what's next for you guys? I mean, what is the West Coast looking like in terms of when you can get back at it?
There's really no indoor shows, period. So we have something scheduled in September 11th, actually, in Echo Park here. It's downtown Los Angeles. We're actually playing with an AC/DC tribute called Gay CDC.
Oh, I've heard of them. I heard they're awesome.
Yeah,
I actually have heard of them.
It's a great show, and it's
awesome.
It's fun and funny, and they're great, and they're really good guys, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to put it around 50% that it happens, but that's our next scheduled event here for us. So I'm hoping it happens. But we're working on some stuff. We have some ideas, some recording ideas. We did a Christmas song last year. We did our version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's on iTunes and all the streaming networks. So if you want to check it out, I thought it came out really well.
That's cool.
We did it we got it all out and done like 5 days before Christmas. So we didn't have time to do a video, but we're gonna do a whole video for it in this coming Christmas season. So there's gonna be a nice rollout of that song again. So, but it's out there if you guys want to check it out. It's the only thing we've recorded that we've released to this point. But we want to do other stuff. We want to kind of make our own versions of things in the vein of this sound, if that makes any sense. So
Sure. So Neanderthal Radio in the chat says or asks, does either band deal ASCAP or BMI issues, or does the club handle all that? Meaning, since you're playing copyrighted music, do you pay to play, or does the clubs do that for you?
It's a great question.
Yeah. No, we have never had that situation come up where we've had to pay to play. I mean, we always say this is AC/DC. We don't say this is our latest song. But no, we personally haven't run into that. I hope we don't, because I don't know, how we would handle it. But right now, I'm sure like our Live Nation venues know how to handle that. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I believe that the venues pay a certain amount, to do that. In fact, we played a show here in Los Angeles, or Long Beach, which is south here of Los Angeles, called the Gas Lamp, and they advertise their cover bands as the band. So it said Van Halen on the marquee that night, and I actually had to go inside and go, wait a minute, Van Halen's not playing tonight. And then I had to go look at the marquee again, and it said Judas Priest, and it said Def Leppard, and it said the other bands that we were on the bill with. So it's funny that they're actually used that, but they're obviously paying some sort of fee for that to actually be able to put that out there. So, but yeah, we haven't had any issues like that yet, and I haven't heard. The only thing I've heard out of the Van Halen camp is that they think it's a great idea and they're cool with it, and I wanted to keep it that way. So you'll never see me selling anything with the our NH. I have an NH logo, but I won't sell anything with that on it, and I won't sell anything with stripes on it, just because I can't even go near angering the boss. So
Smart.
But it's good to know that he actually approves of the project and thinks it's a great idea, because that it's a worry. You don't want to get something going really well and then you get a phone call and you have to stop. That would suck. So to have the blessing of the man himself is a really cool thing. So
what an honor. I mean, what an honor for him to offer that and validate that.
Well, I mean, he had to sign off on this for me. So that's incredible right there.
That's quite an honor.
Yeah.
Quite an honor.
Doesn't get any better. So,
Shoot to Thrill. 2 questions for you. One from Fruitcake Tony. What venues in Raleigh do you like to play? And then the second question is from Bent Tom, or more of a statement. He says, "You guys killed it. I've watched a ton of your live stuff on YouTube. I can't wait to see you live."
Sweet.
So, Fruitcake Tony's question is, where do you like to play most in Raleigh?
Well, we usually play it at the Ritz in Raleigh. It's a Live Nation venue. It's like a 2,000 seat. It's just a general admission. It's fun to play those kind of places because they give you tickets you can give out, and people come for free, and it makes it really fun for us too, because we get like more people to come that may say, I've heard of this, but I'm not sure. So people will come, and it's a really large place, and it's really fun, and the sound is really nice in there. So that's really fun there. And the Lincoln Theater in Raleigh is also a really great sound and really fun
Lincoln's
place.
great.
Yeah. So
Great.
both those, anywhere really. Right, Susan? Wherever.
This is a great question. Neanderpaul asked, has either band had another tribute try to undercut you from a bill? And Caleb's laughing, so I feel like maybe it's a loaded question. I don't know. Or maybe that was a recent. I don't know. Either case, that's a loaded question. So,
not that I know of,
Right.
but I'm sure it's happened, and I know that it does happen, and I know that there's certain individuals out there that are doing it openly, and no, but I haven't heard about it with respect to us directly, so not yet.
how about you, Wendy and Susan?
No, not that I know of. I mean, we know other AC/DC tributes, like in our area and stuff, and we filled in with each other before and stuff. It's like you can. I personally have never felt slighted by anybody in that way, which is kind of like, it's not my music, so anybody can play it. I just I have no problem with other AC/DC bands. When I'm away or like on vacation and I see an AC/DC tribute band, I'm like, oh, we have to go. I'm so excited. And so, I love AC/DC, so it's good that there are other ones. I mean, I want the gig first. Don't get me wrong.
So, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. So, when you go see another ACD tribute, Caleb, same for you. When you go see another Van Halen tribute,
Yeah.
Are you listening for entertainment, or can you not help yourself and be a critical listener?
Oh, I'm like, wrong. No, that's wrong. No, that's not a B there. Wrong. I am. I still enjoy it, and I jump around, and I, have a great time. But when something's wrong, it definitely jumps out because I've studied it. I haven't just listened to it like on an album. Like, I know the music, so yeah, I'm a little picky, but I'm not bitchy, just picky.
So you consider yourself an AC/DC historian when it comes to the music?
At least the Malcolm part, that's probably what I'm going to be more critical about.
Susan, same question for you, because you play the Angus solos so well, and the feel of your solos are just exquisite. When you listen to another AC/DC tribute, I mean, are you listening critically? Can you not help yourself? I mean, how do you take that in?
Well, it's hard because I feel like anybody playing someone else's music, you're interpreting it in some way, whether it's a certain phrase or a certain position choice, or I don't know anybody who plays it exactly. I think even Angus plays it different. From if you watch live shows versus the way it was on the album. He changes things up over time too. So I feel like sometimes I go listen to another band and I'm like, oh, that's different from what I do, and maybe a little different from what Angus does, and I like that, or I don't like that, but it really is when you've listened to something so many times and played something so many times, you really do get to know you get to know it really well. So it really jumps out at you when it's different. Just different isn't always better or worse,
Mm-hmm. I get it. That's a good answer.
Great question. The answer for me is yes, of course. But I'm like that when I go to see a Van Halen show. I want to see if Eddie can pull it off that night. And we've known that there are certain nights where he's, unable to, or for whatever reason. But yeah, you want to hear what everyone's bringing to the table. It's human nature. And when, we're in this business of trying to make it sound like a certain way, yeah, I want to see what other people are doing, and I want to see where they're playing it and how they're playing it. And I want to see, how their jumps look,
Yeah. Which Caleb, I got to say, you do a really good jump, but it's really awkward because you're 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah.
It is really awkward because your torso is longer than your legs are, it seems.
I actually think my jumps are as good as anybody out there.
No, they are very good. They look correct anyway.
Yes, the legs are in the right position. I'm facing the right direction. The guitar is where it's supposed to be. I don't hurt myself when I land. There's all kinds of things that go into that. So I'm watching all that stuff. There's not a lot of, I don't replicate Eddie's movements on stage too much, but it's impossible to not play this music and want to finish it at the end with a big jump. So
I will say one thing about jumps though. The best jump, other than Eddie Van Halen, has got to be Steve Brown from Trickster, and Def Leppard, because man, he's done the Eddie Van Halen tribute as well, and he's an incredible player. But he's short. He's short like Eddie, so he's kind of built like Eddie, and his jumps look like Eddie's jumps. It looks like him jumping, but with shorter hair. But yeah, as far as jumps go, you're right on the top there. I have never seen anyone else do a jump as well as you do.
Oh man, thanks. I appreciate it.
And the other thing that you said when we're watching, especially us super fans, when we're watching other Eddie guys or even Eddie play to see if he does the songs to our standards. I think the one that I look at the most is the Ice Cream Man solo, because he hasn't played that correctly for a long time until 2015. He's pretty much nailed it again. He did it. He just sounded like it should be. But yeah, that's one of the hardest solos on the planet.
9 frets. Yeah.
Yeah.
9 frets.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah. Mere mortals have to tap that out.
Yeah.
Yep. Caleb used the word business, and it really is a business. So if a young person were to come to you, or a young person comes to you, Wendy and Susan, and says, I have this idea, I want to do this. From a business perspective, playing aside, tone aside, gear aside, what advice do you give them? How do you get them started? How do you get the ball rolling down the hill from them? Because after all, it is a business. We're not doing this thing for free. So, how do you get them moving in the right direction?
Well, I asked them to tell them their idea, and then I backdoor copyright it.
I love it. I like that. I want to do that.
Because it's a business. It's a business, and if they've made the mistake to tell me their idea, then that's on them. No, I was just being funny. It's, I've never had a business involved with music before this actual act. It's always been, I played on this friend's thing, or I jam with these guys, or whatnot. I've never had like a full-time band, and it's a lot of people have trouble believing that. But yeah, I mean, it's like a relationship. You go a long time without having a long-term relationship, and then you get in. Finally, you get married, and that's where I'm at now. I mean, I didn't want to do this for business. I wanted to have fun playing this music and see what happens. I told Ty the story. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. I was driving a Lyft car a few years ago, 3 years ago now, and I picked up Taylor Hawkins in my car, late on a Tuesday night, and I drove him home, and it was like a 30-minute ride with him and his wife, and we got to talking, and he told me about his cover band, Chevy Metal, and and they said they were looking for a guitar player, and I told him I'll do it. And the first thing he said to me was, "Can you play Van Halen?" And I was like, "Dude, that's all I do." And then I showed him some videos of me playing, and lo and behold, he took my number, offered me basically the opportunity that he was going to call me, and so I had to be ready. And that it didn't materialize because they'd just gotten another guy in the band, this awesome player, Brent Woods, who plays with Sebastian Bach, and he's a very well-established player. But what happened was, for me, I always thought I could do stuff, but I always had a doubt in the back of my mind. So I had to eliminate the doubt, which was I finally had to work on every song. I watched all the Chevy Metal shows on YouTube and wrote down all the set lists, all the songs they played, all the cover songs, and I had to learn them. And then I thought, I have to learn all these other Van Halen songs that I've never learned before, just because if they say, "Can you play Atomic Punk? Can you play, On Fire? Can you play Out of Love Again?" I'm ready. And so that process of waiting for 7, 9, 8, 10 months for Taylor Hawkins to call every day of that time, thinking he was going to call, that experience brought me to this, because when finally I tracked him down after 10 months to remind him, "Hey, I'm that guy, what happened?" And he said, "Look, I'm sorry, we're happy with Brent." But he said right there, he goes, "Hey, start your own thing, I'll come jam with you." And I felt like I'd been broken up with, by the hottest chick in the world. But I drove home, and I'd already had the idea for this project. And I drove home on that ride. I said, "I'm doing Nerd Halen, and I'm making it happen." And it's because of Taylor Hawkins that I was ready. I really wasn't ready before that, as far as the mental preparedness, to do it. So
it's a great story.
It's crazy, yeah. So
it's an enlightening story. I mean,
yeah.
It's a lesson. It's a lesson for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe I drove home that night. I was like, I'm in fucking Chevy Metal. It sounded like it. He's like, "Here, I'll call you. I'll send you a set list. We'll rehearse a couple times. We'll fly somewhere. I'll give you a couple grand. Sound good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it does. Please make it happen." And then I ran into Dave Grohl, in that, before I saw Taylor again. And no, it was after, I think. No, it was after, because I'd already had Nerd Halen going. And I told Dave Grohl the story, and he goes, like, while I'm telling him, he goes, "Oh, Taylor." And apparently Taylor, makes a lot of promises to a lot of people. So that's just the nature. So.
Man, but he inspired you, and you took a giant step forward.
Yeah,
it had to happen. I don't think
it had to happen.
I don't think I'd be where I am now if that didn't happen, and I turned lemons into lemonade. So, yeah,
that's very good.
Yeah,
Wendy, Susie, they come to you. They say, "What do I need to do? What do I need to do?" What do you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, like Caleb said, like you need to love it too. Like he loved Van Halen from the beginning, and it really shows. If you're going to play something all the time, like Susan said, over and over, you really need to love it.
Passion.
Definitely, you have to have a passion for it, and it's really good, I think, to also just be open to what the fans want too. Listen to like the diehard fans, but also really listen close to the people that say, "Oh, the only song I ever knew was Dirty Deeds before this," because they're in your audience too. There's somebody's wife or somebody's boyfriend or someone's child they don't know all of the AC/DC songs. So, be open to that. And I would say, like, experiment with stuff. We do a lot of silly stuff. Like, we did a funny Christmas parody that you can look up of like silly commercial and stuff. And we've done gear and grab a beer, let's talk gear, where we just talk about our gear for a half hour. And like, we just go for it. Just like eliminate that fear, like Caleb said. we have so many ways of getting your name out there. Just be yourself and make sure you're doing something you love, or don't bother, because the people will know.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Susan? Sorry.
That's okay. I'm getting really dark here.
It looks like she's about to rob a guitar store.
I know.
No, it's definitely a business, and you have to treat it like a business, and you have to do a lot of work. And if you really aren't into that side of it, then you probably shouldn't bother starting, because it really is like a lot of work, a lot of fun, but a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, with any business, it takes up most of your headspace constantly. It should, because otherwise you're not making it happen. Like, it's 24 hours for me, Nerd Halen. The guys in the band are basically guys that show up and play the shows. My bass player is one of the busiest guys in the business. So, but he heard the idea and he was like, I'm in, just based on Nerds, and we play Van Halen. He thought that's beautiful. So, and, he's a guy that gets paid a lot of money to do what he does. So he believes in the project. So thank you, Victor, by the way. And it's you have to have passion for anything that you want to do and want to be successful at. I mean, sure, people back into stuff and they get like a lucky break and whatnot, but it's still never going to mean what it should mean unless you love it. It's just never going to feel right. So, to have something you really, really love and really want to do, and then you're making a living out of it, I mean, I'm not saying that's it's happening for me as of yet, but there's a really good opportunity that we're, working towards. It's all I want to do for the next, decade of my life, for sure, is play this music for these fans, who are dying for it, who are not getting it from the real source. We're delivering it somewhat, with a different take, just like the ladies are. They're providing the fix. Everyone loves, it's like a drug, this music, and they need their fix. And if I can help, I'm providing a fix for myself. But if I'm doing that for other people while I'm doing it, it makes it awesome. And yeah, so
I love it. I love the inspiration behind the conversation we're having. A young person walks up to you and says, Caleb, Susan, Wendy, how should I approach a club owner, a theater owner, a festival organizer to book my band? How should I begin speaking to them? What advice would you give them?
You need a booking agent.
Yeah, a booking agent is good, or like even at the beginning stage, like come up with a little script, like just a few lines about what you're doing. Don't let it be like a book. Put a picture, embed a picture so they have to see it if it's something visual.
Have a
or just make it.
3-minute sizzle reel, that captures the essence. And then you can just send it in an email. They can watch it. They'll get what they need off it. They'll understand it, or they won't. But if you have something like that, you have way more of a chance than just someone you say, "Hey, I have a band. I have a thing. Can I play?" That's not going to work. You have to have something you can show them. That is tangible.
I never understood that in the 90s when you gave a tape to a bar owner or something, and you want to play a place. I mean, you could get that music from anywhere. I never understood why bar owners. You guys sound great. How do you know it's even them? It's never understood.
We have a beautiful promo video that a real good friend of ours made for us when we played at the House of Blues in New Orleans, and I've actually had people say, this promo is too nice. Can you send me some raw footage? I actually have had people say that. I'm like, sure, here's some raw footage from someone's phone last week. Here you go. Because, so you almost have to be careful. Or like Susan said, it's really nice. We have a few booking agents that we work with. We're not with anyone exclusively. So, we're just paying a commission. But like, if you can get it, because they will not even like take you unless they know you're at a certain caliber, and then their clubs know you're going to be like an A-room band. So like Susan said, if you can send the booking agents that work these clubs and stuff your 3-minute reel, and now it's down to like 30 seconds. I think the average person watches something like 12 seconds or something. So now we try to make them even shorter than they once were. But it's important for people to see things now. You know, just like you said, how did they book people when they just listened to a cassette way back when? But people are looking for a visual of what's happening too, and it's so easy to find it.
Be creative with your, your online presence. Be creative with your social media. These are things that resonate with, especially younger people. It's just the way of the future. I mean, if Nerd Halen wouldn't be anywhere where it is now if it wasn't for the beauty that is social media. You can squeeze life out of social media that you couldn't before. You can knock on doors that you couldn't before.
Right.
You can get into places that you couldn't before just because someone shares something of yours that never happened before.
Mm-hmm. That's a really excellent point. That social media, you're welcome. That social media allows you to embed some personality behind what you're presenting. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? We relate to personality. We connect with personality. And so that if we can take our business model, apply personality to it, then we can extend that into other areas. I think that's an exceptional point, especially for someone that is emerging into this world, because let's just be honest, it's a cruel world. And if you're not used to hearing the word no, you will learn the word no very quickly when you enter this this business. But being able to overcome that objection is really critical if you're going to thrive as a business. I think that's an excellent point. Good advice.
Yeah, I think like your worst show is going to be online too. Like whatever song that you muffed up a little the end or something, that's the one that somebody just posted. So you can't be afraid of that either. That's why you should, like, my advice would be that now everyone is watching you all the time. Like, but don't be afraid of it. Just do your best. You're going to make little tiny flubs. Just being live musicians and cut your teeth. The more you play live, the more you can recover from any small thing. I mean, I don't know how many times a monitor just goes out, or you gotta roll with it.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
happen.
get caught. And you know what? People are gonna notice them, but people are gonna notice everything that you do that's great as well.
Right. So you just have to thicken your skin a little bit, because there's always gonna be that bad note that made it viral.
It's funny. In the first few shows that we did, something would go wrong, or there'd be some technical issue, and it would devastate me because of all the thinking that I've done up to that point about how it was supposed to go, and you have to let it all. Once you get out there, it's all just, you have to trust what you've practiced for and just let it go. And also, what I've learned from Hal Sparks, our singer, is that he told me, after a show where some things went wrong and I was bitching about it after, he goes, dude, that's the goal. Okay. If something goes wrong, I'm going to make it part of it, and it's going to work for us. So nothing can go wrong. Do you understand that? There is no going wrong. It's all stuff that we can use, and it makes it that night singular at that moment. And the people are going to remember how you made it your own more than they're going to remember that you fucked up. That's just the way it is, because we're all human beings, and everyone, if there's one thing everyone knows, musician or not musician, they know what being a human being is. And we all make mistakes, and we all, screw up this or trip over this chord or whatever. It's just real.
Every one of our heroes makes mistakes.
Sure.
Every one of them.
Yeah, there's nobody, nobody's perfect, and there's really ways you can make it all look good and professional, that's another beauty of social media, is you can clean it up nice. But like we were saying earlier, I mean, I can't afford a huge, professional demo video. So I took all the cell phone footage from all the stuff that we've had, and that's what I'm using. And it's working better than any professional thing would, because that's all people do now, is put up their phones and film. And it's more, it's annoying, but it's more legitimate than any professional job, because it's authentic and real, and everyone knows that that's a real video with real sound of that night, and I'm not affecting it, I'm not adding anything, and I'm not, ginning it up. So
that's fantastic.
Use what you have, you're not gonna, a lot of us are broke. We can't afford big shows and big productions, and so the music has to be good. The music has to be there, and that's all we have control over. So, work on your parts and get good people around you. That's my advice to anybody trying to do this. Good people and, confidence and passion. When it comes together, it's amazing. So.
Oh, that's great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Great advice.
So the young person comes up to you and says, "Hey, I
A
checked
lot of young people.
I checked all those boxes.
Can
I'm
an older
those boxes.
person?
What disruptor should I be looking for? What is around the corner that I should be looking for to insulate myself in order to protect myself from all those things you just mentioned, Caleb? And look, Susan and Wendy, I live in your market. I mean, I know how competitive it is. I mean, and I know that you're at the top of the mountain. So when you're at the top of the mountain, everyone's looking to knock you down, right? So what disruptors should I be looking for around the corner? And what advice would you give me?
Oh, well, I would say the one thing that makes, I feel like we got more successful, the more accessible we were. This like the stuff we do, or this after the show, we're available to shake your hand. Now I know it's COVID, so, but like maybe before the virus, we were like, we really take the time to like meet you. What is your name? How are you? Because it's a colder world now. We're online. We're not seeing each other in person as much. We're not touching each other and stuff. But people, I would say like that is a huge thing that people should really try to embrace, just because it's really important to keep your fans knowing that you care, that they spend their hard-earned money to come see you, and you're trying to give them what they want. And sometimes at the end, they just want to thank you and let them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. I mean, it's fun to get feedback. It's fun to have people tell you that they had a good time. I'm doing it to have a good time, and so if they're having a good time, my job is done. And it's, it feels really good. You work hard, you want good feedback. Let's not mince words. I mean, people who don't read their reviews are not real performers. Like everybody does. They want to know how it's translating, how it's coming off, and I go back to when I met Eddie Van Halen when I was 13. The thing I remember most was he was a really good person, and he treated me like a person. He asked me like where, what part of town I lived in, and do I play any sports? And I was 13, and he treated me like a person. And I went home thinking, okay, I just met the biggest guitar rock star on the planet, and he wanted to know about me. He wanted to know who I was. And I mean, more than, working to play like him and, spending all this time trying to play in his neighborhood. I mean, I believe I treat people like the way he treated me that night. I believe that had an effect on me, just being a person to other people. Like, because Eddie Van Halen was that way. And, that was more inspiring than any piece of music he ever wrote or recorded to me, because, when someone's that huge and that important to so many people. Like, I mean, obviously you meet them a few times, you're gonna go, you remember me? I mean, how many times these people hear, do you remember that time when you met me?
Yeah.
That's all they hear, because they want, you know, let's face it, you want them to know you, you know, and that's just human nature.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's what I got from him. It's lasted in a lifetime, was just his grace, his humanity, his regular personness. And so if you can be that way with people that are coming to see you, I strongly advise it, because they're going to remember that more than any lick you played, any song you played that night, anything you did on that stage. They're not going to remember that part. They're going to remember that part that you shook their hand, or, you know, they made you sign something, which is crazy, you know, to think that people want signatures from cover band. But it means a lot to people. People want to be known. They want to connect. And yeah, I mean, just shaking hands. What is that, right? Mm-hmm. Shaking hands.
I agree with Caleb. You know, I've been playing locally in bars for most of my life, and in my opinion, other than the music, the most important thing you can do is to give the people that come to see you the 5 minutes of your time, because they're coming to see you. They're paying money to see you, and if you don't give them your time, not only does now your music suck, you suck
forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not come back to see you
forever.
So, yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and that, again, you know, and I absolutely love talking to people that come to see me. If the first thing I do is ask their name and shake their hand. Even if I don't ever remember it, the first thing I do is ask their name, because
I look them in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
huge,
absolutely. Huge. And you sit down with them if you can. You smile at them. You listen to what they have to say, and then you go on to the next person, and they feel like they've got something out of it, other than you drinking a couple beers and listening to you know, a half decent bar band. You know, that there's half a dozen of them on the block. You know, that just makes it personal. Absolutely right.
It's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah. Well, we're approaching 10 o'clock. I think we're gonna slow it down a little bit. Ty, do you wanna bring up the
all right. So, well, everyone here is a live performer, and none of us are a live performer right now. No. But there is a very important movement going on. #SaveOurStages. I would encourage everyone in the chat to look at this movement that's going on, and decide whether it may be right for you as a musician, as a live performing musician, and make a decision whether that might be a movement that you may want to support. Save Our Stages is an effort by independent music venues to not only survive this pandemic, but be there on the backside of this pandemic. And I would just encourage each of you that are in the chat tonight, that are watching this in replay, that if you are a performing musician, to look at this effort with a clear lens, and if this is something that aligns with you know, where you are socially, to support this effort, because we want these independent venues to be there for us after this pandemic. Ben Coombs has been very kind in posting the link in our chat. Please take a look, do your own homework. I by no means am asking you to go and do this. I'm just encouraging you to go and do your own investigation. And if this is something that you believe that we all need, not only as performers and musicians, but that we need a society as a whole, that you would consider supporting this. They're not asking you for a financial contribution. They're asking you to sign a petition that encourages a larger support of these independent businesses that are then owned by independent business owners. And let's just be honest, all of us need these venues and these stages to do what we love most. And they have a very well organized website that's broken down by state. I would encourage you to look for your state, look at all those stages that are there. And I would venture to guess that most of us in here know all of those venues. And they need our help. They need our support during this time. And please do that. Again, Ben Coombs has posted that at saveourstages.com.
Just remember, if we don't support our independent stages, there may be no more music to be watched. There will definitely be no more music to be played. What happens to music?
Yeah.
It's gone.
I want to say something.
Sure.
And I want to be positive. I'm a one door closes, one door opens kind of guy. I think that things will come back. Obviously, this can't go on forever. And I believe in my heart that when it does come back, people are going to want our stuff and music more than they ever did in their life. And they're going to want to go see shows, and they're going to want to go out and hang out with their friends more than they ever did before. So if everyone can just hang on, wear your mask, do what's right for other people and yourself and your families, get through this. I'm saying here right now that it's all going to come back stronger than it ever was, just because we went through this all together. And that we will be rocking to more people, more excited people than ever before, because of what we're going through, what we still have yet to go through, and all that. So everyone just hang on. We're going to get through it. It's going to be better than it was. That's my opinion. I really feel that. So there you go.
That's from your mouth to God's ears, my friend.
Well said.
I hope it works.
It's gonna.
Well said. Well said. Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you, Susan, Wendy, and Caleb, for being with us tonight, offering insight, advice to all of these listeners into pursuing the next step in their musical journey. We certainly wish you the best of luck in pursuing your next step, and we offer you thanks for doing what you do, for inspiring us, and for being a positive example in how to do what you're doing. And it is so unique for you guys to be able to identify and differentiate the way in which you've done, and to do it with such excellence. We thank you.
Absolutely. And real quick, Sue, Wendy, and Caleb, how do we find you? How does everyone find you on social media?
We're at shoot2thrillband.com. You can get from there to everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, nerdhalen.com and at Nerd Halen on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Those are our three platforms on social media, and our website, nerdhalen.com. So at Nerd Halen and nerdhalen.com.
Awesome. Well, like always, everyone, thank you so much for being on the show. It was really a wonderful show, actually. I had a great time. Ty, thank you so much as always.
Always a pleasure, Dave.
Yeah, it's great. Always great working with you. And thank you to everyone in the chat. If you have any questions that want answered that you haven't asked or that we didn't get to, leave your comments down below, and we'll answer the comments in the days to come, and it'll be great. Join us next week as we have JD Simo as our guest. That'll be a great show as well. And everyone, stay with us after we say goodbye. Just stay with us for a few minutes. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night. As I get this rolling here. Hang on.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Ty.
Bleeper roll.
Thank you.